Meeting come to order. Our first order of business would be, Mr. Day, you would explain the closed session, please.
Yeah, the board met in closed session this morning on two items. The first was a conference with legal counsel regarding existing litigation, and that is condemnation litigation with regard to the Fong and Fat parcels. And the board did take action in closed session in authorizing a settlement amount, which will remain subject to attorney-client privilege. On the second item in closed session, the board conferred with its real property negotiator, and it did take action with regard to the Vendley parcel in the context of offering an increased offer, which again will remain attorney-client privileged. No action was taken with regard to the other parcels listed on the consent on the closed session agenda, but action will be taken in open session under agenda item 6. That's it.
Jim, put your mic closer.
Jim, they couldn't hear you.
Did that get picked up on the tape at least?
That's better.
Want me to go over it again?
Yes.
Okay. Two items in closed session. The first is a conference with legal counsel regarding existing litigation. That litigation is a condemnation action by the agency against the Fong and Fat owners, and the board did take action. It authorized a settlement amount. That amount will remain subject to attorney-client privilege. The second item was conference with real property negotiator. The board did take action with regard to the Vendley parcel, where the board authorized an increased offer. It will be subject to attorney-client privilege, and did not take action on the balance of the parcels. Action on those will be taken in open session under agenda item 6. That's it.
Thank you, Jim. The need agenda approval.
I'll move for agenda approval as presented.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Public comment on matters not on the agenda. Kim McDonald. How are you today, Kim?
Well, the usual. Thank you for asking. Once again, I've got my list of complaints here. The reappraisal was done at my house, and Mr. Fabian was there at the time. And I specifically asked, when should I be hearing back about the changes that were made to the appraisal? And the ballpark was 3 to 4 weeks, which would have been around Christmas time. And of course, I've heard nothing back, and I don't see anything on your agenda about, giving me another appraisal. My problem lies in the fact that once the appraisal is handed to me, I have 30 days to get my act together and get back. There is no time limitation on you guys. It's very unbalanced. I have no idea what's going on again. And what's happened is Mr. Dirksen has paid a visit to my neighbors, and we speak a lot to each other about what's going on. And he dropped a couple bombshells on them. And basically, he told them, he's the one who always told us, oh, the appraisals will be ready in 6 months, in 6 months we'll be there. He told them we may have to be out of our houses as early as July. He says that it has been contracted out, the demolition separate from the construction, so that what they may do is start the demolition first, where we had been told for years now that once this project starts, what will probably be done, in other words, we were not guaranteed anything, is they would start the work at the other end of the project, and that would give us more times. Even though you've bought our houses, we could rent back our houses, stay in our houses while we looked for other places to live. That's not the kind of bombshell you drop on someone. And nothing of this has been said to me. This has only been told to my neighbors, the Culbersons and Ainsleys. They've been told that their dock probably will not be able to stay after years of being told their dock would probably stay. The reason being, it will be getting in the way of the recreation project that's going on. Not safety, but the project which is going to be mitigated with the ground that makes money for you guys to pay for this project. In other words, again, it's more proof that this is not a safety project taking our houses. Our houses could have been saved, but they are being used to fund this project for the city. I want to be informed as soon as possible when these things are happening, and I've told you many times that. But I am hearing things being told to my neighbors and coming back to me. Palmadesi's were told that their offer would be reviewed and they would hear back in 30 days. That would have been the 1st of December. Things we are being told is not what's happening. I'm not sure what you guys are being told in your closed sessions by Mr. Dirksen, but the way he represented himself to me and to others are, again, here, when he's asked a question, you know, are you going to take care of these people? Are you going to give them a fair offer? He says, not yes or no, I'm going to do everything I can. And what that actually interprets to is I have rules I can follow that say I don't have to do anything for you. And that's what he's doing. Thank you.
Okay. Approval of our December the 11th, 2014 minutes.
Move approval?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Review of our monthly year-to-date revenue and expenses.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. This report is for November 2014, and for the month, no revenue was received to the agency. Expenditures totaled $1.45 million, primarily in the Southport project with the acquisition of the Sarmento property at the remaining balance of $910,000 and about $350,000 plus in other design work. At the end of the month, the cash flow for Fund 870 stood at $1.8 million. There's still approximately $6.8 million in our state funds account that needs to move over to 870. That will occur in a future monthly report. All told, we finished November with a cash position of $8.6 million. We're expecting the first property installment this month, and we have some other payments trickling in as well, and I'll report on those at next month's meeting. And that concludes the monthly report for this month.
Questions?
Nope.
I'm fine.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Consent agenda. Consideration of amendment number 3. Do anybody want to talk about that?
I do. I'd like to have a little further explanation of where we are on the GRR. That is such an important component of what we are doing. And if we get our GRR, if we get the GRR approved and move forward with the core, is there a way to recoup some of the finances that we are expending now? Can they go retroactive?
So all costs relative to the GRR and the finishing of the study are not reimbursable.
Okay.
They are cost shared. We pay, WSAFCA is paying 25% of the total cost of the GRR. The State of California is paying 25% of the total cost, and the Corps is paying 50%.
Okay. And so where are we on the GRR now? When will we be able to take it out to the public?
So the public draft has already been released, and that's all closed. The next, it's in the monthly progress report, which I'll go over a little bit later, but the final chief's report is due in October of this year. The signed chief's report, the final report milestone occurs in April, and then it goes to the Civil Works Review Board, and then the final signing in October. But that's essentially the schedule that we've laid out for this year.
Have there been any issues raised since this has gone public?
No, there have been no issues.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
I would move for acceptance of the consent agenda as presented.
All those in favor?
Second?
Or second, I should say. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. WSAFCA project update.
Morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. I know you've received the monthly report. I'm going to go through some of what I believe to be the highlights. For the Southport project, we're proceeding to the 90% design milestone, which will occur, we're targeting for about April, May of this year. We have received the biological opinion from U.S. Fish and Wildlife earlier this month, and we've received a draft of the biological opinion from National Marine Fisheries. We hope to receive the final BO from NIMS within the next week or two. And if you will recall, once those are received, then the final EIS can be transmitted to Division for their review and release for a 30-day public review period before that EIS becomes complete. And also, if you recall, these are combined biological opinions for the Southport project and the GRR. So the same conditions hold true for both projects. Once the BOs are received, then the final EIS for the GRR can also be circulated. We reported this month for the first time, at least through the progress report, on the Village Parkway plans and specs and a separate permitting package for that effort so that we can move forward in advance of the levee improvements with the transportation and relocation portion of the project. And so those required permits were submitted to the respective agencies back in December, and we'll continue to update the board as we receive feedback on the status of those applications. On the real estate, staff received some minor comments from DWR Cadastral on the real estate plan. The real estate team is working on response to those comments. One offer for acquisition has been accepted, and negotiations are continuing with other property owners. And we are working on completing appraisals for all of the parcels that will affect the construction of the Village Parkway package. In addition, our environmental consultant delivered 9 new Phase 1 environmental assessment reports, which should include all of the assessments needed for the Village Parkway portion and other portions of the property, of the project. On your utility relocation, Crown Castle has begun to coordinate with the property owner at 3199 South River Road for the relocation of that cell tower, and we're going to be working closely in close coordination with the property owner as well as Crown Castle to support those improvements and the relocation of that utility. For the general reevaluation report, really nothing to report other than what we just covered. On schedule for the agency decision milestone later this month. The read-ahead package to support that conference should go out by the end of this week. Staff has been reviewing, both WSAFCA staff and DWR staff has been reviewing the read-ahead package and providing comments to the Corps, including comments from the non-federal sponsor that supports that effort. On the Rivers Erosion site, small project, since we didn't get into completing that project before the winter, we're going to work with, and we're coordinating with DWR staff for monitoring and any required maintenance of that site during this winter season. And then we'll be back out spring, summer to do that project, assuming we receive all the permissions by that time. On the Sac Bank project, because we had some rain in December, some of the degrade work was delayed, but it's now expected to be completed hopefully by the end of this week. And then they hope to have the work accepted, USACE, the Corps, the work is accepted and the road reopened before the end of this month. And that, oh yeah, one other thing. So Regional Flood Management Plan. So as the board is aware, the Regional Flood Management Plan was completed back in July. The state has continued to support and is supportive of continued effort with the team, with the small communities and the reclamation districts and keeping that outreach moving forward through June of 2017. And to support that effort, they've proposed an amendment to the current grant and contract to the tune of about $500,000. They've provided just this week that amendment to the contract, so we plan to bring an item to the board next month that would support that amendment and continued funding for continued outreach and effort under the Regional Flood Management Plan for another couple of years. There also may be there will likely be a need to update contracts that support the work by the team, because I believe all those contracts also expire with the current expiration of the grant contract. So we'll be bringing a package of things to you next month to support that effort. And that concludes my update. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I do have a question, if I may, Mr. Chair. Village Parkway looks like it's starting to come together. I mean, the concepts are really starting to flow with the various property acquisitions, or at least the offers and that sort of thing. The connection between Gregory and Village Parkway. I know there's a property owner out there, the Gabrys, and they have issues with what's eventually going to happen. Is this first realignment going to be the permanent realignment, or is there going to be something that comes in after the fact?
So our alignment is slightly different from the current alignment at Gregory. That's shown in the general plan and the transportation element. So it does differ currently. It's hard to say with the general plan update and/or any updates to the circulation element of the plan whether that future alignment will shift a little bit. So I think that still remains to be seen, and ultimately would be a decision that the city would carry forward, obviously not WSAFCA. And as far as the timing, it's really going to depend on future development as to when that occurs.
Future development of residential at Richland or wherever further down the road, that will dictate.
That will dictate the when.
That dictates the when, not
right.
necessarily the
Not
where.
necessarily the what.
The where.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
And the general plan and the transportation section of the general plan, basically.
Because his concern is the way it has been explained to him. I don't know if any documents or anything, but the possibility of somebody running into his house is greater and greater.
Yeah, if it was to continue the way we're designing it, it would go through his house. So
Yeah.
it would have to be it would have to be shifted
Okay.
to the other, to the permanent alignment, and then it would bypass his house.
All right, okay, thank you.
What we're doing now is just a construction road, basically.
No.
Well, what we're doing now is we're landing slightly askew from the way it's depicted in the general plan for safety reasons, to make sure that there's enough sight and sight distance from both directions. The future and ultimate alignment has a completely different configuration there.
So tell me about the temporary road. The road is going in now. Where's it going to go? It's going to start at, and go someplace, and we're using it primarily for construction purposes. Is that correct?
Well, no, this roadway is the replacement for South River Road.
That's what I mean, yes.
Yes, and it's going to be constructed to the city's current rural road design standards. And it will also, primarily is to serve to maintain access for the properties that would otherwise lose their access with the removal of South River Road.
Anything else?
Fine. Fine.
There being nothing?
Let's see, there's there.
Oops, no, we got some comments here. Informational items? None. Meeting's adjourned.